What's happening, everyone? Good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Live. You've only got me for the first half hour. You might have Mickey join in a little bit, but to keep into true form, it's 8 p.m. It's a Friday evening. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hope you're doing good. We're going to try and preview tomorrow's game a little bit. Also talk about a significant event that took place 21 years ago today. I'm sure we all know exactly what day I'm talking about and have our own memories of that occasion. And we've also got various bits and bobs to talk about from the week, and also probably a little debate on who we think is our player of the season. So, yeah, hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Peter Sullivan. Hello to Steve. Hello to Ball Free Die Free. How you doing, mate? Hope you're good. And hello to Steve Chilton again. If you're new around here and you are watching for the first time, please be sure to subscribe, like the video, give us some feedback, get involved in the comments. Hello to Daily Mill 2. Hello to Danny. Hello to Stu. You're right, mate. So I'm going to run the intro as per usual, and then we'll get started. Talk about, I think we'll start with Sunderland 21 years ago, because it's not always good to look back at some good times. So let's run the intro and get started, guys.
Language you don't usually hear on television. Millwall in London's Dockland.
No one likes it, but we don't care. We're that Millwall podcast. Loud every Friday night right here. Legends like Jimmy and Abdul take a share of the kitchen of two. Super Neil Harris a fucking legend too. Through the good times and when the strife, we support the Lions all our life. This ain't no place for fancy feet. This is fucking Millwall through and through. Located on our very own John Ferguson way. Let them all come, let them have their say. Millwall till we die. With that Millwall podcast, loud every Friday night right here.
And there you have it. So, yeah, nice to see you all in the chat. Hello to Mark Murphy. Hello as well to Stu. I think you said that already. But, yeah, guys, bear with me. I'm on my own. We'll probably do some conversation from the chat, get your feedback, get your input. Hello to Rob as well. Mickey will be joining me in about half hour's time. I won't bang on about it too much. But if you've not followed on socials, if you've not seen it online today, and you haven't seen anything yourself, it was 21 years ago today where little old Millwall made their way to an FA Cup semi-final and walk out as winners and get through to the final. I just thought we could do a little ramble about that for a little bit. What's our memories of that day? The season, look, we'll come on to in a minute. For us at the minute, we've obviously got 6 points off the playoff places. And obviously we've got some outside hope. I know some of you watched the show during the week that I've done with Jay, and I know it's like maybe a pointless thing to talk about, but we're still in and around it, and you never know what is around the corner for us. Can we actually potentially make it to the playoffs? I mean, personally, I think if everyone's watched the show, I don't think it's doable, but I digress. Let's talk about the game at Old Trafford 21 years ago. So my memories, I mean, I was pretty much, what was I, 9 years old at the time. I remember travelling up to Old Trafford then. It was just one of those days where I think for us, it was like our final. I think Daily Mill, you summed up here perfectly, up there as the best, better than the final in a foreign country, for sure. I mean, it felt like it was significant. I just remember going up on the M1, travelling through to Manchester, and all the Mill flags on the motorway, kind of everyone travelling up. It did really feel like that was our final. And obviously the result, it was more or less guaranteed, wasn't it? You hear all the stories of all the previous players talking about it, where, you know, they've got the whole kind of field fetus in there, kind of saying if we get to the final, you'll get a bonus. Because I think it was guaranteed European football. Because obviously, you had Arsenal and Man United in the other final, in the other semi-final at Aston Villa, Villa Park. I think, you know, you hear the stories and stuff behind that, and obviously the squad was really buoyant for it, weren't they? And I think at full time, just the jubilation of it all, really. I think little old Mill getting to the FA Cup final. I mean, being a young fan at the time, it kind of felt like, was this the norm? Little do you realise after a while, being a Mill supporter, you know, that, you know, you don't, there's a lot of downtime supporting this club, for sure. I mean, it's probably one of my earliest memories, to be honest. I think 2002, maybe it was, no, 99 was, I went to the 99 all-windscreen final, but I had no real kind of meaning to what Millwall was, really. But as I got to 7, 8, 9 years old, you think back to that side, okay, the semi-final team and final team was slightly different, but you think back to that era and you've got Danny Dichio, Neil Harris up front. You've also got the likes of, obviously in midfields, always Dennis Wise, David Livermore. Good times there, really. And then obviously you think to Peter Sweeney on the left. I remember he was one of my first favourite players. You think back now, Peter Sweeney was a very distinct average footballer, but when you're a young fan at the time, you fall in love with that side. And we've had the quarterfinal, obviously, against Tranmere Rovers, Kevin Muscat missing the penalty. I still sit behind Colbo Lane, and I remember him missing the penalty in front of us. And you kind of felt like, well, that was a bit of an anti-climax, wasn't it? But we had that semi-final. Obviously, Dennis Wise as player manager, Ray Wilkins involved, God bless his soul. And all the character references that I said about him and as such, really. And yeah, just what we're meant to stay. And of all people, Timmy Cahill scoring the decisive goal for us. Obviously, I feel kind of shimmies his way into the box. I think Poom saves it and then falls to the path of who else but Tim Cahill, who wrote himself into folklore history. I think you think back to that goal, does it have the same significance as the Jimmy Abdou goal? I think so. Like the Jimmy Abdou goal in the playoff semi-final against Leeds, that's obviously more modern time, so to speak, but only 5 years later. But, I think the significance of it, also another midfielder, not comparing Jimmy Abdou and Tim Cahill for any reference there, by the way. But, yeah, I mean, it's good to see some of your comments in here about the day. What is your memories of it 21 years ago? We've got Danny Chappell here, early start, rain, lots of blue, beers and smiles. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the final remembers as well. I mean, I didn't actually go to the final. I was gutted that I couldn't go at the time. 9 years old and whinging to my old man because he wouldn't take me. But yeah, he obviously had other plans in Cardiff at the time. I don't blame him. But when I look back at it now as an older fan, but gutted to miss out on that day. Nice comment here from Rob Quinn. 21 years ago, we were there. Poignant as it was the last game. My mate Paul, a massive Wall fan, died soon after. Rest in peace to Paul, mate. And yeah, nice touching comment there, mate. Mark Murphy, the maths is still on our side. We'll come on to that in a minute. I'll start that for now. Steve Chilton talks about Budapest. I've heard some stories of Budapest. Again, a bit too young to experience it, but yeah, you see the videos online, and I can only imagine what it was like being a Millwall fan out in Europe. I mean, obviously, I've spoke about it countless times in the last year, but even getting that small bit of going to Murcia last summer to see Millwall play abroad, okay, it's a pre-season friendly, but you got Millwall fans taking over local bars and stuff like that, and it's something we probably never really will get again in like a competition, at least not for the foreseeable for sure. But do we want that? I mean, I'm happy at Millwall, don't get me wrong, but it was quite nice. Just I follow England away as well as such, and it's nice to go to these places. England's full of a lot of Northerners and questionable people at times. Maybe people we wouldn't normally hang around with on a match day at Millwall, but you go to a place, you descend on it. I think back to going to Holland away and Amsterdam, and you take over a place, and it was a small kind of little taste of it for what it would be like as a Millwall fan last summer. But I can only imagine what it was like going to Budapest. And was it Ferenc Chabos, the team? Dennis Wise obviously scored both our goals, didn't he, over the 2 legs? But I think they just had too much for us, didn't they? But yeah, Danny Chappell's got a comment here. I won a competition to play in Wales a week before the FA Cup final for Millwall celebrities and supported versus Man U celebrity and supporters. I think we won 5-2, mate. Class. Do you have any kind of mementos from that, or any do you get to keep the top or anything like that? But yeah, like I was mentioning, obviously, it was just a real momentous time for us, and obviously since then we've had a few flirtations with the FA Cup. It's just one of our lucky kind of mementos, isn't it? The FA Cup, and it kind of obviously, I kind of actually done a quiz today, which I won't really talk into too much, but a question came up about who we played last season in the FA Cup, and it was like a 3rd round game against Leicester. Like you think about the little games, but it's just the FA Cup carries a special meaning, I find, for Millwall, and yeah, for sure, like the competition itself, especially in my lifetime, it's a real significant kind of momentous thing, really. Yeah, go on, get some more comments in, guys. Anyway, let me know your memories of the FA Cup semi-final and the FA Cup run in general. I'll go on to in a bit to talk a bit about our opposition tomorrow, who are of course Pompey. Portsmouth comes to town, playing them on a Saturday at the Den. What could possibly go wrong? I'm actually surprised they've actually let it play on that day. But what do you guys think of tomorrow's game as well? Get some comments in for me, please, guys. But yeah, we'll get the league table up as well and start to talk about obviously what we're looking at going forwards. Let's just go forward into here and I'll get the playmaker up. But yeah, be sure to get some more comments in for me, guys, if you can. I will come back to your comment as well, Mark, in a second about the top 6. Bear with me for 1 second whilst I load this up. I'm prepared as always. What we got here? Right. So Portsmouth find themselves currently sitting in... Bear with me, guys. Sorry about this. Portsmouth have currently played 41 games this season. 47 goals scored, 64 goals conceded, a form of late of 3 defeats and 2 wins. They've only actually drawn 1 from their previous 22 games. If you want to have any kind of flutter tomorrow, I don't know what I'd go for there, but I'm suspecting some goals, hopefully. I mean, we're due some more goals at the home games. I think, obviously, last time out, the win against Stoke, I think, it kind of, we need to turn the home form into a real kind of thing to look forward to for next season, I think. And especially around the time of season ticket renewals and stuff going on at the ground. And obviously, you want to have that real good factor, a feel good factor going to watch Millwall play. I don't think we've really had that of late. And obviously under Alex Neil, he's not really had the home form. So obviously getting a good win last time against Stoke, we really need to carry that on. When you look at the fixtures we've got remaining, obviously Portsmouth come to town. We've got Norwich still to come to the Den. I think Swansea's another fixture. I'm doing well to remember that off my head if you ask me myself. And obviously we've still got to play 1 more home game in there, I'm pretty sure. There, 1 second. Portsmouth, obviously, this weekend. We've then got Sheffield United away next Tuesday, and we've got Middlesbrough at home next Saturday as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a real kind of hope for us to kind of kick on, get 4 home wins would be nice between now and the end of the season. I think when I think to Saturday's performance, are the players really interested? Do the players want to really put in the effort between now and the end of the season? Of course, it's their job, it's their livelihoods, but I watched Saturday's game and I felt we've just done enough to not get beat like dramatically, really. It felt like when I was up there. We didn't really offer much going forward. I think for me personally, I'd like to see the return of 2 up front. I think Coburn and Ivanovic just to try and be a handful up top. But yeah, I digress anyway a little bit. But let me just come back to some more comments here. Danny Chappell and Mark Murphy here. Mark Murphy, it was a pity that the game was in Wales and not in Wembley, but to have Millwall in an FA Cup final in my lifetime is amazing. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the old Wembley, I was lucky obviously to go, like I said, as a young kid. Don't really remember much of the day aside from just a sea of blue in the home end. But obviously since then, we've had new Wembley and obviously been spoilt with the FA Cup semi-final once and 4 playoff final appearances. Danny Chappell here. Didn't Andy Roberts have a fling, allegedly, with another player's wife, so he didn't play in the final? Shame his quality in semi-final. Yeah, allegedly, just to stress that one there. Connor, evening lads, working tomorrow, so won't be there, but I hope we get a win. Fingers crossed, mate. Mark Murphy, I think we need to create more pressure on teams at home. I totally agree with you. I think if I just bring up some statistics, obviously, like I mentioned there. So this season, we are obviously 13th position in the table. We've managed to accumulate 51 points. Portsmouth have found themselves 17th with 45 points. We've both played 39 games. We've won 13. They've won 12. And we've managed to draw 12 and lose 14. Portsmouth have lost 18 times this season. Feels quite a lot, I think. But considering they're only 6 points behind us in the league table, it's got that kind of feeling to it where it's an end of season fixture. Portsmouth are still fighting and need a few more points, but with 7 games to go, you think they'll pick up enough points between now and the end of the season and consider themselves almost safe. They've got an expected goals per game of 1.24 if anyone's into the XG, whereas our expected goals per game is 1.1. I think there'll be goals tomorrow. I don't know what the feeling is amongst you lot, but I think we are going to see some goals tomorrow, and hopefully have an opportunity there to kind of, like I mentioned, just get the home form going, really. I think for me, it's got to be just bring back the feel-good factor. I know I bang on about Neil Harris a lot and stuff, but I think what Neil Harris was good at was, especially games like tomorrow, getting the Den up for it, I feel, and getting the players kind of into the game. Like the players bring the fans in and the fans bring the players in, they say, and it's kind of a double-edged sword almost. But for me anyway, I think being a Millwall fan, like, you look forward to playing the likes of Portsmouth, clubs that are similar to us in ilk almost, fan base and kind of the demographic, I suppose you could say, of supporters. And I think you want to have that kind of enjoyment going to watch us play at the Den. And sometimes you just wonder, like, is Alex Neil going to get the best out of this players between now and the end of the season? Does he need that pre-season to really focus on getting the side going? I think when you think to next season, I think something Jay raised on Wednesday, he feels like he wants to go to the back five. I mean, you think about Millwall, but, you know, when we think about previous managers, Gary Rowett, he tried the back five. Joe Edwards, he tried the back five. Ian Holloway, there you go, I mentioned that clown. He tried the back five as well for us. I think at the minute, it probably, when you think about the side, we've got the injuries, obviously no Camille Negley, no Aziz, no Bangor Williams. I think we said after the Sunderland game, Bangor Williams was kind of rumoured to pick up a knock whilst away on international duty with the under-20s, obviously the side that Roman Esse plays for. So I do wonder if he'll be back in the fold tomorrow. I've not really read anything online today. I've not been on social media or anything per se to kind of check any team news. But if Bangor Williams is back, I'd like to see him come in. I mean, Kundal's getting a lot of stick, and it'd be interesting to get your guys' opinions on Kundal. He hasn't really done it for me of late, but I think there's undoubtedly a good player in there. And I do think it's a case of persevering with him, maybe. Maybe that's the wrong word, but I think trying to unlock him into this side to get the real best out of him. I think he likes to get on the ball from deep and drive. And I think especially in sides where counter-attack him and you try to kind of get on the front foot, I think you want someone like Kundal, for me anyway, to kind of be on the turn, kind of, you know, the transition of play where we move the ball quick, which has not been a Millwall side. We don't move the ball quick through the thirds. I think that's for me like something that you look at Denor and Billy Mitchell, who have both been quite good of late. I think I want to see more from the pair of them, kind of getting the ball forward quicker. I'm not saying they don't play forwards. I know Billy Mitchell gets his critics, but I think for me it's, can we turn the ball quickly, get the likes of Kundal in the game where he's got the chance to turn and drive at defences. And then that's when I think you'll see the best out of Luke Kundal. I mean, I don't know what you guys think in the comments, but I think there is still something to be had there with Luke Kundal, and I do think he will come good for us. I do think it's just a case of it is persevering and trying to bring him into the game in places where he can hurt opponents, I think. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys reckon to that anyway? I've got some more comments here from you guys. Rob Quinn, we lost the final, but what a day out, obviously referring back to the 2004 FA Cup run. They split Cardiff into two halves, red and blue, spoke to a security geezer who said blue half was rocking, the red half was miserable. I mean, Rob, if you think to Man United's success back then, I remember watching it on the telly and stuff, and the fanfare of the FA Cup final and seeing Mill playing the FA Cup, the old Del Boy reference, or wasn't it Grandad, saying, you know, then again, he said that Mill would win the FA Cup. We nearly did, but it felt like a real momentous occasion at the time, didn't it? But we'll have to come back to that probably, no doubt, in a bit. Mark Murphy, Portsmouth's recent form is good. Yeah, I was looking at that. I mean, like I mentioned, they seem to have picked up. I know when we played them, they were still fighting for their lives down the bottom. They seem to have picked up some wins away from home as well, which is something they've not typically done previously this season. If I'm not mistaken, I think when we played them, I think they hadn't won away all season. I could be wrong on that one. But I know their recent form, definitely away from home, has picked up a bit. So they'll be coming to town tomorrow thinking they can get a result. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. I think, like I said, they're on 45 points. They'll probably want a few more points on the board to kind of secure themselves safely. So I do think Portsmouth will be up for it tomorrow. If I go through their side of late, I think obviously Jordan Archer is a backup reserve goalkeeper. Will we see Jordan Archer? It'd be quite funny if he was featuring tomorrow all of a sudden. But yeah, their most recent side, most used 11, should I say, they've got the likes of Schmid in goal. Conor Ogleave is not a bad fullback, I find. Freddie Potts. And yes, he's got West Ham affiliation, guys. I think he's on loan, so I'm sure he'll get his boo boys tomorrow. Marlon Pack, he's always been around the block. I think he's at Bristol City last time I remember as well, previously. And obviously Matt Ritchie, Josh Murphy, and I think their top goal scorer this season is Colby Bishop. He's got about 9 or 10 goals this season, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, look, I think it'd be a tough game tomorrow. I'm quietly confident. I don't know why. It's based on just pure delusion for being a Millwall supporter. I got a bit of stick last week for saying I hope we'd win against Sunderland and predicted a 2-1 win. Just for the records, a lot of that is me being hopeful rather than actually expecting. If you want real analytical kind of feedback and views, you've come to the wrong place for that. It's not me to be the voice of reason and tell you exactly what the score's going to be. I'm a Millwall supporter at the end of the day, so of course I want to back us to win. But did I expect us to win at Sunderland last week? No. Did I hope we'd win last week? Yes. So I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people get that, but some people did call me out on it last week, but each to their own, I suppose. Diggs, hello mate, hope you're well. I think Neil's a good manager, but I think he needs time. The club is moving in a different direction. We've got to build on how solid the defense. We've got to build on how solid defense is. A few new players in, and the manager needs a pre-season. Yeah, I do agree with you, mate. I think it's just whether or not. Where does he take it? He's going to have a free reign in the pre-season. If it is the back five, I think I know I alluded to that, and I'm pretty sure Danny said here, please no back five. If he goes that direction, I think we could see it tomorrow. If you think about the injuries, like I was kind of rambling on about just before I mentioned Kundal, obviously if Bangor Williams is back in contention, potentially doubtful, I think it was someone commented further down there, I suspect it could be a world where you have Jensen in goal, and you have Leonard right wing back, so he got another 60 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, for the 21s during midweek. And so did Langstaff and AJ Matthews, who I think we might maybe see some of. If from how he's been managed in the 21s, I know he's come back from injury. I do think maybe we'll start to see him feature prominently towards the end of the season. That's just my gut feeling, by the way. No other feedback on that, no kind of inkling, but it's just he seems to be managed the same way the first team players have been managed. Does that mean he's going to feature? Is he going to get some time in the squad? I think you just want to see some of these players feature and play, really, and see what they're about. For me, the season's almost done. Like, we're on 51 points. We're safe, more or less. Not mathematically safe, nor are we mathematically out of the playoff race. But realistically speaking, if we finished where we are now, I'll take it after changing manager midway through the season. And I think it's got to be, can we see some of these young players featured in the first team? So we shall see. Daily Mill here was confirming about Reece Bangor Williams being touch and go via the South London Press. Peter, hello mate, hope you're well. Now Alex Neil knows more of what we have, transfer will be interesting. Yeah, is he the one that signs the players though? I'm only just joking with that one. But yeah, it's true. He's obviously had, 3.5 months in charge to get to assess the squad week in, week out. I think, yeah, for me, it's he's going to obviously get his opportunities to kind of address areas in the squad. It's not rocket science to work out, though, is it, when you compare our like statistics? It's the same as it's been for as long as I can remember, really. Probably since the Morrison and Gregory days. We just don't score enough goals. And even then, when we're probably one of the better sides in League One, you think back to it. Southampton, for example, in 2010, if I go way back to when we had Harris and Morrison up front, you had Ricky Lambert there and stuff like that was scoring bundles of goals. We've never been a side that scores 100 plus goals in a season, aside from the 2000 season, right? 2001 season when we won Division 1. We don't score a bundle of goals, but how do we unlock that? What do we do to obviously get that going for us? That's the real kind of conundrum for me, I think. So, yeah, anyway, like I mentioned, we've scored how many goals this season, actually? I should probably know off the top of my head by now, but we've scored 37 goals in 39 games. Therein lies your problem, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Gary Miles says, I agree about Luke Kundal. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll have to see what happens. Steve Chilton here saying back five just invites trouble. Hello to Mill Sports Club Russia. Hope you're well. If you're tuning in for the first time, hello, mate. Good to see you on here. Oxford have won an away game until they come to the Den. Yeah, very true, London Line. You're not wrong. I think, yeah, it's the Mill way, isn't it? Gary Rat coming back to town. It was always inevitably going to happen for sure. Rob Quinn here. Casper and Billy are great. On my point, I think made about them earlier, but they don't get the transition quick enough for me. I like both of them, but maybe too similar. Not sure. I think the pair actually really complement each other well. I do think we miss. I'm careful how I word this, but I do think we miss a George Saville-esque from a couple of seasons ago. That kind of competitive nature in the midfield. I think Denor's got it in him, as in fairness to him, and he was someone that I was quite critical of when he first signed for the club. But that probably neatly brings us onto it now, actually, and I'll get a comment up as well, so some of you can leave some. Who is your player of the season? And I'll pin this one up. But yeah, I think it probably does bring us onto the conversation of who is going to win the player of the season this year, the fans' player of the season. It's interesting because I always tend to find the winner of the player of the season award is the player that's performing best as we get to this time of the season. And by that, I mean they've strung together 4 or 5 games where they've been unbelievable, but they've been always consistently all right all season. And that's not me saying Denor's just been all right, but that's not the case. But for me, my player of the season is Japhet Tanganga by a clear country mile. I think Denor is definitely second for me, but it's because Tanganga's form has gone from an 8 or 9 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10 every week. And now Denor's putting performances in at the moment. That makes him kind of kick on a bit. I think, on your point, Rob, about Billy and Denor, I think the pair of them do actually complement each other in a side that likes to keep hold of the ball. But we're not that side. I think actually what surprised me, I looked through the stats from the Sunderland game last week. I think Jake Cooper had the most passes of the ball from any player on the pitch. So that kind of highlights that we had a lot of the ball, especially in our defensive third, but just going forward, we lack that real kind of clinical edge. And I think Alex Neil, look, you had a week on the training field this week. What are you going to offer us? Because he's had that kind of excuse to hide behind, and I know it's still we can't judge him until pre-season, as people are saying, and I understand that argument. And we've also got injuries, but for me, it's can he get something out of this side now? And kind of, I don't know, put Portsmouth away tomorrow 3-1 or 4-1. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? But I don't know. We'll get on to predictions in a bit. Mickey will probably be joining me soon, so fingers crossed. Mark Murphy says maybe Portsmouth will just be happy with a point, and we struggle with breaking them down. I do agree. I think from what struck out of me, obviously we played them twice this season. I do think it'd be interesting to see if they line up similar to how they played in the games at their ground. I think they like to use the wing a lot, and they do throw players forward from the fullback areas. So I don't know. Be interesting to see. I think Portsmouth are not a bad side for sure. So we'll have to wait and see. I think someone's joined in, so he'll be joining us in a second. But yeah, go back to this anyway quickly for who is your player of the season. So I want to know what people are voting for player of the season. Like I mentioned, I think for me it's Japhet Tanganga. Hello, Baldy.
Hello, hello, mate.
I think I've held it together quite well. I'll let the chat answer the question to that one, but I think I've held it together quite well while she's been away. Let me just get
done all right. I've watched bits of it, so yeah.
Would like to see AJ get a game. I think that's obviously referring to AJ Matthews. He's banged them in for the youths and might be a revelation. Interesting point, before we dive through. And yeah, I mean, I do think he's being managed the same way as Langstaff and Leonard, like I've mentioned. So
fucking
no. Interesting. Sorry, the gnome has arrived. Anyway, well, let me just keep on track for a second, mate. Loads voting for Liam Roberts, Daily Millwall, Tango Denor or Brian from Peter Sullivan for player of the season. Give me one, Peter. Who are you voting for, mate? I'd like to see Casper play slightly higher because I think he has that ability. Billy and someone else have to do the hard work in the middle. For me, he's not far off from the truth there, I think. I think Casper's obviously done well in the 10 position, for sure. I'm getting a lot of static off you, Mickey, mate. I don't know if it's because you're moving your wire. But yeah, I've been rambling for half an hour, mate, and you're going to come in and start causing domestics, ain't you? Mark Murphy, Denor for me. Daily Mill between Tanganga or Cooper. He has to be a defender. Has to be a defender. Our defence is the sixth best in the league. Interesting. No, that's the first person I've seen mention Cooper in the shout for player of the season, Mickey.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean,
who are you voting for player of the season, mate? Anyway.
I think realistically, it has to be Tango. Really, I think it has to be Tango. I don't see the point of doing, where some people are talking about doing a protest vote and stuff for thingy. But I think it has to be Tango. Realistically, I think him or I'd say Tango or Denor. Probably Tango.
I think Denor, like I said, he's coming good at the right time for these sort of votes. Like recency bias does carry some weight in these votes, I tend to find. It'd be funny if Liam Roberts gets up there, but let's be honest, I think the club will disregard anyone that votes for Liam Roberts.
Honestly, I think the amount of shit his family and him have taken, I think if he got a vote, I think the problem is that I think it would be unfair on him. The Daily Mail would jump in and everyone else would jump in and it would just cause loads of pain. And I think it would also, if I was Tango or someone, I'd feel a little bit disrespected. Do you know what I mean? I think Tango should win it, personally, because I think he's played out of his skin. He's taken us on as a challenge, as a thing, and basically run with it. And let's be honest, because of him, he has brought the better person in Cooper out. And also that back line is a lot more solid with him in it. Yeah.
Nice to drop in, Mickey, from Spencer. Tango or Denor for me. Definitely think Tango has struggled recently without Lenny next to him at right back. Yeah. Do you know what? It has coincided with his turn of form, I suppose. But then this is what I'm saying, Spencer and you, Mickey. Like, I think his turn of form has gone from being so high up here to still being better than most defenders in the Championship. Do you know what I mean? Like, on Saturday against Sunderland, he put in a fucking superb block in front of us when we was in the way and looking down at it. And also just like how quick he is in recovery. Like, he gets caught out of position sometimes, but he's quick back in position. He's dominating when he goes up for the ball. He doesn't often get beat in the air either, Tango. And
No.
I do think he's destined to maybe move on in the summer, but that's a conversation for another day, isn't it, I suppose?
I mean, I'd be interested. I mean, also, you've got to take in that, the reason he came to us was because he got, I think there were 3 medicals refused for Premiership, what failed. And you think that it's such a shame that it's obvious that his injury isn't that bad as such, but you see that the Premiership wouldn't take the risk on him for the money, whatever it was. Yet we did, and he's pretty much potentially going to play 40 plus games for us this season, and yet can we keep him for another season?
What about this take from Daily Mirror? I think Tango prefers a rah-rah up and out manager like Harris or Jose. Maybe Nils ain't his bag of tea. But then
I think there's some truth in that.
I think what a rah-rah manager gives you, I don't know if I'm not ever going to compare Jose and Harris together because Harris is obviously the far superior manager anyway. So anyway.
Oh my God, you would have got away with that if I weren't on it, mate. But we're not having that. You're talking bollocks.
Of course I am talking bollocks. I'm not stupid, am I? The chosen one, the special one.
Don't forget Jose. Jose's from that Greece team, isn't he? Galatasaray. The viewers listening will find out about that in a few months' time.
Yeah, in a few months' time. And I do have something potentially to give away if people can like the video and get some more interest going. Let's go. Spurs bottom half. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Tango anyway. I think what he said about Harris, and also loads of players came out and said it last season, he just simplified their roles for them. Like, there was no sugarcoating what they had to do. A defender defends, an attacker attacks. Do you know what I mean? So I think that helped Tango a little bit in a sense. Spencer then goes on to say, I still think Tango is by far the best defender we've had for a long time. I totally agree with you. Tango has been the best by far this season. I don't know where Mickey's gone. Denor second, and Ivanovic young player of the season. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if Mickey's died, but he'll be back in a bit, no doubt. Anyway, I'll go on. So my vote, anyway, like I mentioned, was Tanganga for sure. I think who would be third place? They normally do 1, 2, and 3. Is Brian probably the top 3? So you've got Tanganga, Denor, and Brian. It's crazy that Joe Bryan's in that conversation because he wasn't a few months ago, was he? I think he's probably one that has benefited. We mentioned about Alex Neil coming in and the effect on Tanganga. I think definitely the arrival of Alex Neil has helped Joe Bryan. Not that I think he was bad under Harris as it goes. I think it was definitely a case of Bryan. He still was ever present at left back for us, wasn't he? There, and he obviously still had that kind of job to do for us. Was consistent. Leonard up there before his injury from GB404. Do you know what? I still think Leonard's our best right back and should be in the side once he's back to full fitness. But I don't know if he hit the heights he did last season for me. Not to suggest that he's been shit this year, but last year he was unbelievable, like constantly doing the business. And I think this year there was a few games that stick in the memory where you just think he's a bit caught out. I think Sunderland at home, I think against the tricky winger they had. He's mentioned in the conversation for the third spot, says Chris Brown. Not for me personally. I think he's had a solid season. It was interesting because I don't know if this story's been told already, but I went to the goalkeepers night that the Millwall Community Trust put on about a month ago. And Andy Marshall was obviously one of the guests. So they had Andy Marshall, Brian King, I can't remember who else was there, Brian Horn, and one other chap, his name escapes me. I'm sure one of you in the comments will tell me, probably Daily Millwall, probably. But it was interesting because there was a question raised. It was obviously on the eve of us playing against Crystal Palace. And the question was posed to Andy Marshall about who he prefers. Is it, obviously, in that case, is it he prefers, not prefers, but who thinks who's a better keeper. And he was quite defensive of Jensen. And I think me repeating this isn't a problem because obviously it was in a public forum. But it was interesting his take on it and what he mentioned. I'm just going on about what Andy Marshall said about Jensen, right? And he went on to basically say he's played half the amount of games in his career as opposed to Roberts. Roberts has played 300 games, I think he said something like that. And obviously Jensen's only played 150 games. But the development he sees in Jensen, he's ahead of what he anticipated him to be for this time of the season, how he's getting on. I mean, the question here, Mickey, from Chris Brown, is Jensen in the conversation for third spot for player of the season? For me personally, no. What's your opinion, Mickey? Oh, Mickey's gone again. I don't know what's going on over there, mate. But yeah, anyway, for me, anyway, I don't. Jensen, I think, is a great, he's a decent shot stopper. I think his kicking is flatter into the sea at times, and we do struggle with that. I think at times you see him have trouble, kind of obviously, with his goal kicks. He's not the finished article, though. And I think that's back to the point made by Andy Marshall, obviously, when we had that night, the goalkeeper night. I think there's a few areas he needs to improve on, but because he's only 25, 26, 27 years of age, I don't know exactly what age that is, but I'll cover all the bases there. I think there's still improvements to be had for Jensen, and I think that's the argument of sticking by him. I think obviously Roberts' ban is almost up. I think he's got one more game, and then he's back in the fold. Does Roberts get a game between now and the end of the season? Probably not. I suspect it'll be Jensen for the rest of the season, but we'll have to wait and see. Mickey, mate, you keep falling out on me, mate. What are you doing?
I know, dodgy internet. I think everyone else has decided to go on stuff, but no, I think Jensen is probably a good call for third spot.
Or Brian? I think Brian personally.
I think Brian. Yeah, I think if you put Brian in the third spot, then they should make a special Costa Coffee Cup trophy for Brian just for the piss take.
Yeah,
I think that would be quite comical. But no, I think it's I think that's a good call, probably Jensen or Brian for third. Who would you vote younger player?
Young player of the season. I guess Bangor Williams has come into the fold, hasn't he, mate? And you could do well.
It's a shame, really, that SA went thingy because it would have been nice to see SA win it 3 years on the trot.
It would be nice seeing SA and Bangor Williams in the same side together.
Yeah.
What would that have been like? Because obviously he rose to problems after SA's gone. If you had to pair them in the same side together, what would that have been like? Peter Sullivan says Ivanovic.
I think he's still learning. I think he's still got mistakes in him, isn't he? I think he's just not.
That's his answer to the young player of the season, I'm saying.
But Ivanovic, is he? Does he fall in the age group? Oh, I suppose he does. Yeah. Ivanovic could potentially win young player of the season then.
I think typically they give it to, obviously, academy scholars, which is why I suspect. But even then, Bangor isn't an academy scholar, but he's played in the 23s and stuff. As has Ivanovic, I suppose, this season before he got into the side. Harris demoted him, didn't he, at times? So, yeah, I mean, why not throw Ivanovic into the mix there? He probably could be in the mix too. I'd probably, if I was to order it, I probably would have had Ivanovic higher than Jensen in the player of the season contention. I don't think I'm being harsh on Jensen. I don't know. I think he's had an all right season. I think Ivanovic, when you take the context of new country, age, playing in a championship for the first time, it is the same thing you could use there for Jensen, I suppose. But I think that I'd probably lean towards Ivanovic having a better progressive season as opposed to Jensen. It's close, but just.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I think, I don't know. I'd probably say it was above there. Yeah.
The young player for Chris Brown too.
I think he'll probably end up winning it for young player. To be fair, I think that would probably be the way to do it, wouldn't it? Put him up for young player, give him the motivational push he's got there, and then obviously Tango for the main one.
Definitely.
That will upset the Daily Mail.
Jensen had big glass to fill, obviously,
Peter.
Yeah. There's a lot of context to it, and I'm not trying to be critical of Jensen because I think, like I mentioned, what Marshall said, and I subscribe to it, I believe in it, because I think Marshall had a good eye for a goalkeeper, as you're saying, he had a big glass to fill. I think there is a keeper in there for Jensen. How fixable are some of the problems he has, though?
I think they're all learning. I think you've got to understand that he's young, isn't he? And don't forget, keepers don't really reach their prime till, 27, 28? So...
Probably older. But I think with Jensen, like, I look at him and it's a bit like how I looked at Jordan Archer. Like,
he's a better keeper than Jordan Archer.
well, we could argue that League One season, Archer was having a blinding season and fell off a cliff, right? But Archer lacked confidence at times, was a bit erratic at times. I think Jensen has some of them tendencies in him a little bit. He lacks the confidence for sure, considering his stature and how old it. Like maybe it's age; it'll come with age. But like when there's a corner in the box, you're 6'5", 6'6". You should be rushing out and trying to dictate that 6-yard box.
Yeah, but is that the way? Is that the way that modern keepers are now, or is it the fact of, they just got to clear their box, so a lot of them now will just punch it out of the way rather than, grab it?
He
There doesn't seem to be a lot of catching, does it?
He doesn't even come and punch it at times, though, mate. That's the thing for him. For me, he's got potential. This is actually an interesting comment here from Connor, right? Because this is something I've observed in recent games, and I'm sure other people might have seen it as well. When Tanganga has the ball at his feet and he's playing with his back to goal and he's trying to, is he looking up to play back to the goalie, Tanganga doesn't trust Jensen with the ball. And I've observed this over the course of 5 or 6 games recently. Tanganga refuses to give Jensen the ball back when he's under pressure. So just watch it tomorrow if it plays out. When Tanganga has the ball and he's running back towards goal, he'd rather try and clear it or try and take it round the corner and play up the field. I'm just saying, mate. I think Tanganga doesn't trust Jensen.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. He does, but then again, is that because he wants to be able to? I don't know if it's about trust or whether or not it's because Tango wants to play up from the back rather than just blast it up the front, up the back. Yeah, I just wonder. I just wonder if it is more of about that he wants to keep hold of it and run it up rather than just give it to the keeper who blasts it, and 9 times out of 10 we lose it.
Yeah, well, London Lion says here my mum is better than Jordan Archer. My better goalkeeper than Jordan Archer.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to be harsh on Jensen because I'm aware it's his first season in the Championship. He's learning the job. And in reality, we've got one of the best defences in the league. I think 6th best defence in the league, as Daily Mill said. And he has played a part in that. Great penalty saves a couple of times this season. Instinctive, great shot stopping. I just think when you're trying to push into the top 6 of the Championship, you need to keep with the full package. We've not really had that for a long time, really. Sarkic was probably on his way to being that, really. You felt more confident with Sarkic for sure. But we'll have to wait and see. I think GB404 here. Do you know what? I said the same thing, actually, but it was a bit of tongue-in-cheek. The whole defence is nervy with Jensen. I said in Spain, I preferred the look of Roberts from them 2 games. And I did too, I have to say. But it was a bit tongue-in-cheek. So I kind of knew you signed a keeper for north of £500,000, whatever the rumour fee is for Jensen. You're going to make him the number 1 and Roberts be the ready-made replacement if things don't go to plan. But I thought that too from the games I saw out there. I think Roberts seemed to be more assured, which is, again, something you could argue comes with age. It seems to be something that has kind of helped. I mean, I'm sure Roberts has been a great aid to Jensen and a great support, as the GKs always seem to do. They support each other. But it was something I thought as well. I actually done a predictions at the start of the season. I did say I thought Roberts would play more games this season than Jensen. I was wrong. I'm happy to be wrong, but
I think they're 2 different completely styles of goalkeeper, aren't they? I think that Roberts absolutely commands his 6-yard box with power and confidence and all of that, and Jensen is still a little bit naive in what he does in that box. He will take slightly rough challenges, like it make rough decisions to try and something where he tried to kick it out when maybe he could have caught it in the first place and stuff. But I think Roberts does it. But it would be interesting. I honestly would like to see Roberts get at least 1 or 2 games before the end of the season, just so that it gives him that little bit more confidence to say, actually, look, we're still trusting you and we go forward. So I would like to see him get 1 or 2 games towards the end of the season. But on the same level, you've got to be fairly careful that you don't then end up kicking the boot into Jensen, because keepers, I think nowadays with speaking to Matt Webb and people like that they are very, very much a confidence player nowadays. But then again, everyone seems to be a confidence player. You know, gone are the days where you just need to, you know, pull your socks up and go out there and win and play for the badge. I think everyone's now a little bit of a wallflower as such. And, you know, that fan said nasty words about me.
It's interesting. I was listening to something the other day. I can't remember what it was. It was a football podcast. They say the talking in the dressing room and the talking on the pitch has got less and less, and it's becomes a lot more sensitive. And it's true. The younger generation coming through, think to the likes of S.A., Bangor, Williams, Jensen. They look at me, think they don't strike me as someone that could take a bollocking.
Could you imagine the characters from the past so far, like Paul Gascoigne, Stuart Pearce? You know, you listen to some of the pranks what Paul Gascoigne did, you know, like shitting in someone's boot and fucking shitting in someone's, you know, shower bag and shit like that. Nowadays, mate, these kids will fucking have a meltdown. I mean, they don't even have apprenticeships no more. You know, like you're talking when Teddy Sheringham and people like that come through, they used to clean the boots of people, and you don't have that no more. So SA and, you know, Reece Williams and people like that, they don't actually clean the boots of the pros no more because that's frowned upon.
Yeah. GB4 goes on to say, I think Robert should have been first choice. Give Jensen someone to learn from. Yeah, I mean, look, Jensen's still. He hasn't done a bad job this year. He's up there in the clean sheets and stuff. And I'm not being critical. And as Chris Brown says here, Bart couldn't kick either, and no one cared about that. But I think Bart also made up for it because of his more experienced nature in goal, and that is around the box, and he's talking. And I just think, honestly, watch tomorrow, guys. And I haven't imagined this, and I know tomorrow he won't even be on the show, but watch Tanganga when he's running back towards goal with the ball at his feet, and Jensen's offering for the ball. Just see what happens. I said it now anyway. So, Robert's first game after suspension, you play him, says Daily Millwall. Keepers, great position, kicking and punching. That's what you want from your keepers, I suppose. GB4 says now we've got Hutch with sellotape now. Have you seen that clip did around? I think it was Sack Sturch and Coburn. And Sack Sturch was saying how there's a fine system in the dressing room, and what Hutch is doing is he's putting sellotape up on. You know, like when you walk through sellotape and you get on your face, and if you walk through it, you get a fine. So if you don't spot it when you walk into the room and stuff, it's good to know that Hutch is, you know, putting good use to his captaincy and leading the dressing room to how you would see fit, right?
That's what Cooper said, though. When obviously we spoke to Cooper the other week, and Cooper said that he, you know, Hutch is the one doing it within the dressing room. You know, he's keeping the lads there, he's organising bits and pieces and doing all the stuff there, keeping hijinks up and all that. So it's nice to know that, you know, Hutch is there. I mean, we don't know. It could be Hutch's last season with us, couldn't it? I think there'd be a lot of players potentially who have potentially played their last full season with us.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think we'll be getting a lot more. But we are on that rebuild process now, aren't we?
For sure, mate. For sure.
Which is exciting. But yeah, we'll wait and see where it goes. But no, I think, listen, no one thought we were going to finish the season where we are. We all thought we were going to be in a relegation battle all season, didn't we? And the fact that we're, you know, 6 away from playoffs, I think is not too bad a position to fall into for end of the season, really. Do you?
No, not bad at all. It's not. It's like we've had a transitional season again, 2 years running. So I'm just looking for some stability next season and not having to change manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'd be nice just to have a quiet off season, quietly go about our business. And
it's a bit like us, isn't it?
What, us?
Yeah. We just like to have a quiet off season, no changes, and then just smash the new season. And just there we go, off we go. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
But yeah, no, of course, and I think probably, you know, we'll start to look towards tomorrow and get our predictions in the next 10 minutes or so, guys. So if you start to get them in, please be much appreciated. He comes from up north. He can kick you in the head, Liam Roberts. Thanks for that, Diggs. I appreciate that. That is Dan Riggs, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Probably be at Bromley next season. I think that's in reference to Hutchinson. Is he trying to be an Alex Pearce kind of figure, doing sellotape in the dressing room and stuff like that? Do you think? Is he? I can't picture Hutchinson being
It does
He's
come
trying
across
to
as
be-
possibly a joke. Maybe he's just thinking I might not be here next season. I'm going to make sure people remember me. But I do think since Alex Neil's in that the players seem to be, I don't know, enjoying their football.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that they didn't under Harris, but I think it's different. I think they seem to be, a lot of Harris and a lot with Rowett and a lot of other people behind them. It was always looking down, as in 40 points to be safe, 50 points to be safe, etc., etc. But I've not heard one bit with Alex going, oh well, we need 2 more games to be safe, above the drop, or we need this. It's always, well, we're going to play for the playoffs, but it's going to be hard, it's going to be
People
tight.
fucking say that though, and there's
Yeah, but we never did with others. We never got that out of
Rowett
Rowett. We
did.
never.
He
No,
did.
we fucking didn't.
He did.
It was always.
He did.
Yeah, when we were near it, apart from the Blackburn game where he fucking said, "Oh yeah, we go do it," and then fucking someone must have gone around and bribed the team to fucking forget their heads in the second half. But I think we've had over the years more people looking for protection and then looking for a number to make sure that they're protected rather than actually thinking about go. I mean, Alex does like to go for it, and hopefully tomorrow will be a prime example that, Portsmouth are struggling. Do we go for it, or do we just go for it? Yeah, they have picked up form. Yeah.
But we should.
And it's hard because I would like Portsmouth to stay up because they're a good away day. They've, their fan base ain't too bad compared to some. But on that same level, I don't want to give them 3 points.
Yeah, we're going to do it the other way around. So I think I'm going to give my prediction as well, and then we can maybe talk about the team because people start to get their comments in of what they think the score's going to be. So Cundall should be in the middle of the park, says Dan with the Nor.
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree with this argument, and Jay says the same thing too. I don't see Cundall playing in the midfield too. I think if you put him in midfield 3, I can see it working. GB404 agrees with Dan there.
He's a first-time listener as well, I think.
Yeah, good to see him in the comment. Yeah, GB404, thanks for commenting, mate, and thanks for getting involved. I think we'll get our predictions in, mate. Give me your score prediction for tomorrow, Mickey. Tell me.
I said 3-1 on the Portsmouth podcast yesterday, so I'm going to stick with that.
Who's going to be the goal scorers? Go on.
I said Cooper, Williams, and who else did I say? I think I went Coburn, actually.
Nice.
I think I went Coburn, Ivanovic, and no, it weren't Williams. I went, Cooper, Ivanovic, and Cooper, Coburn, and I think I went Williams.
And while we're at it, who you got in the Grand National tomorrow, please, mate?
I haven't, mate.
Anyone listening? Who you got in the Grand
I haven't
National?
looked. Yeah, give us your tips for the Grand National as
give
well.
me a tip for the Grand National tomorrow, guys. I'm looking to back it at Aintree tomorrow. So I think it's, was it 5 o'clock? Was it, what time is the Grand National tomorrow?
They ruined that, didn't they?
Was it back to 4 o'clock? I can't remember when it is. I think it's actually back to 4 o'clock tomorrow.
It should be 3 o'clock like it used to.
It used to be 3:15.
Yeah.
And they used to come on the tunnel at Millwall and say the Grand National, and the Grand National winner is, and then they come on the tunnel and say it. But it looks like it's 4 o'clock tomorrow, the Grand National. So yeah, I'll be trying to find a TV screen to watch that for sure. Anyway, score predictions. I'm going to say a 2-1 victory for the Lions tomorrow, and that's a hopeful prediction, not an expectation.
Okay.
I'm always hopeful. Everyone's always hopeful. I think we should win tomorrow. I hope we win. I think we should win tomorrow. I'll say it 2-1. 2-1 here from Steve Chilton too. 2-0 win tomorrow if we play front 2, which we'll come to in a second. 3-1 loss if we don't. GB404 says I think 1-0 win. 2-1 the Nor and the Big Sur from Dan, and over and under arrests at Waterloo. I'm going to say over 40 arrests about Waterloo.
I remember, if you do get arrested tomorrow, remember no comment and get in touch with Football Legal or Football Law Associates. You can find them on our page. So yeah.
London Lion says if they come for the draw, they'll probably get it. Been watching it for a while now. Keep it up, lads. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. Thanks for commenting. Cundall, I don't think is a 10, but could get the ball moving from the middle. Yeah, not wrong. We had a couple of smart comments here from Steve and Peter saying a horse and a jockey for the Grand National. Thanks, lads. Appreciate that. 1-0 for Gary Miles there. Vanilla and Beauport from that Daily Mirror. I suspect that's a horse for the Grand National. I've not really had a quick look yet. Yeah, I forgot a jockey. Yeah, thanks for that, Steve. Tim Cahill says Kitchener would have been locked up. Leave robbers alone. I'm not sure I'm really with that Tim comment. Mickey? No?
Leave robbers alone. Unless that's leave Roberts alone. I don't know. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Kitchener, Kitchener in his day used to go for people. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. 3-card brag, the Kando Kid and Minino Indo each way from down there. Battle of Waterloo, Steve Shilton. 6 home games in London tomorrow. Bournemouth at West Ham United. And 1-0 Coburn from Gaz Lyon. So the question there, mate, I think someone commented it earlier. Do we think we'll see 2 up top again tomorrow? What do you think, Mickey?
I think realistically that we seem to play quite well if we play 2 up top. It seems to work. But it just depends what 2 you're going to play. Mm-hmm. Are you going to play Coburn and the Serb, but then maybe switch one of them for Langstaff, who's obviously fit now and looking to get back into games, or do you play with a target man of Coburn and then obviously flood the wings and stuff? I don't know. I personally, I think 4-4-2 is the best, or a 3-4-2 or whatever you want to do it. But yeah, I think that's the best option. I think it works. It's proper, isn't it? It's Millwall.
Did you say 3-4-2, by the way?
Yeah, all right. 3-4-2-1 then.
3-4-1-2.
All right, 3-4-1-2 then. Fucking wanker.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9, 10. Fuck it. Let's just go 8 up front.
I do think we might see 2 up top tomorrow. You've got to have 2 up top at home, as GB404 just said there. Yeah, I think part of me does think he might go over the back 5 tomorrow, because you could have Leonard, Crammer, Tanganga, Cooper, Brian, Denora, Mitchell, Cundle in the 10. Yeah, let's go Cundle in the 10. And then the 2 up top. And then you really need Leonard and Brian bombing on. And I think there is a world where that could happen. So I don't know why.
There's also a world where pixies and fairies exist, but...
Sorry?
I said there also is a world where pixies and fairies live.
Listen, I think between now and the season, we will play one game, we will fight back 5. I can see it happening. It's just my gut feeling. There's no
better than back 3, but yeah.
Back 3, back 5, whatever. I just can see a world where it happens. But could it be tomorrow? Would he play Leonard from the start? I don't know if he's going to maybe preserve Leonard to make sure he's 100%, maybe, because he's played 60 minutes now. Maybe that means he's got his chance to play 90 tomorrow. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Leonard's back in the start 11 tomorrow, Mickey?
I think if he's fit, I think he will be. I think he's more likely to start than come off rather than come on, because of the way he is. I think they probably need him to build into the game rather than coming on cold as such, because of his injury, side. So yeah, I would rather him come on and then potentially switch around. So yeah, we'll see.
We will see indeed. I think we'll start to come to our finish, everyone. I think we've kind of covered the bases there. I think my starting 11 tomorrow, I'm going to predict Alex's Neil's 11. I'm going to say Jensen in goal, Ryan Leonard right back, Brian left back, Cooper and Tanganga centre halves, Mitchell and Denor midfield 2. I'm going to have Connolly off the left, Bangor Williams off the right, Cundle in the 10. No, I'm not. I'm going to play 2 up top. We'll get rid of Cundle and we'll have Ivanovic and Coburn up top tomorrow. Let's go for it. 4-4-2, 4-2-2-2, whatever you want to call it. We'll have to wait and see. Mickey, is there anything else you want to bring up, mate, before we start to wrap the show up, mate?
No, I think we're pretty much there. I think on the next show we will have a moan about the TV companies, and maybe if we can, start gearing up something to maybe fucking give a bit of a kickback for next season. But yeah, we're not there yet, because I think some of these early kickoffs are a piss take. You look at them this week. You've got Port Vale going to Wimbledon at 12:30. You've got QPR having Burnley at 12:30, and you're just thinking it's good going to football, but fuck me, leaving when it's dark to go to football is just ridiculous. And I think, that we get no support from, these organisations. They want to take the money off, the sports TV channels, but they don't actually want to fucking support by doing a deal like we spoke about earlier, doing a deal with a train company, doing a deal with a hotel company where, you book through them and go, listen, we all know that if they do suddenly jump in bed with a train company or a hotel, the clubs and the football associations will take a kickback on an affiliation. But to be honest, could we really care if you had the option that if it was changed by them, that you could actually move your ticket for free? Because why the hell should you have to pay £10? Like with Trainline, why do you need to pay £10? But we can do this maybe we would do this on Sunday and Monday night show. So, we go there.
I think it's interesting points made there for sure. I think you're right. Like even Leeds away this season has been 12:30. Well, that was FA Cup. Obviously, Stoke we had in November was a 12:30. We've had a few of them away from home, mate. And
it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke, really, because they could literally tell us at the beginning of the season what games they want to do, but they don't, because it gets through the season like now, and they suddenly go, oh yeah, that game's going to be interesting. We'll move that to a 12:30. We'll fill there because we can't have a 3 o'clock. Or what's going to happen is, just get rid of the 3 o'clock. But they won't necessarily want to play that card yet, because that then affects football clubs, not the TV. And that's the difference you've got, because then the TV, if the blackout goes, then the TV channels can do 3 o'clock, and you'll find then that all football games will be put on at the same time because they'll be able to mass stream all the channels. So you won't necessarily have the 12:30 to 5 o'clock, because everything will be at 3. And because they can't put it on at 3 at the moment, that's where they're edging their bets. So, it's weird. It's the clubs play with our destiny, really, rather than playing with their own.
Anyway,
yeah, that's what it is.
Conversation for another show for sure, mate.
Definitely. You doing your Are you doing the thing we spoke about earlier, or are you going to hold it back?
We'll save it for another show for sure.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you for watching. Mickey, thanks for joining me halfway through, and I think I've done all right personally.
I think you've done well.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
At the end of the day, if you think Omar did well, then please give this show a like. Otherwise, I will give him a P45.
We're wrapping up. That's us. I think we're out of here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for joining in, and we'll speak to you again soon, and maybe see you on Monday or Sunday to recap the game tomorrow. Cheers, everyone. See you later.
Laters.